Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video is one of the craziest pretty much collapses, rug pulls, we're not sure what it is yet, but it is pretty intense. So one of the biggest drops since Terra Luna essentially. This thing has fully collapsed. We're going to talk about Mantra, which is OM, and it looks like it's been a complete rug. It's completely gone. We'll talk about what we know, which isn't a whole lot, but we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about the overall risks. And just this is just a big reminder, right? So we're going to talk about it. We'll give our thoughts. If that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So pretty crazy. So Mantra was a fairly large coin. It's been around quite a while. If we look at the max chart, it's been around since 2020, right? So this wasn't just something that came up around for a few months and then dumped. It's been around for quite a while. This literally happened about an hour ago. It was trading around $6 or so, and then pretty much out of nowhere, within the hour, dropped billions of dollars in market cap and is down to 56 cents. Okay. Again, we look at the market cap just literally minutes ago. It's about $6 billion. So to put into retrospect, this would put it, give or take, somewhere in the top 25 of all cryptos. Okay, so this wasn't one of the little random shit coins we're mining or something in the top 1,000. This was a top 25 coin that essentially feels like it just rugged, right? We don't necessarily know a whole lot. We'll look at the little bit that we do know, and we'll go through it. Okay, so this is pretty massive. Hopefully none of you guys had anything in this thing. It does suck. In case you're not familiar with it, it was essentially a RWA coin. It was a DeFi coin, kind of pivoted into the whole RWA sector, which is kind of where the hype and the narrative is. One thing to note is that it is built on Cosmos SDK, which kind of funny because so was Terra Luna, right? So what are the odds that they're both freaking Cosmos coins? And overall, this can have bigger ramifications overall, right? Especially if you're in the Cosmos ecosystem, if you have any money there, anything, don't be surprised to see this thing tank, especially if it's a vulnerability, right? Currently, we don't know a whole lot. We'll look at what we do know, though. That kind of leads us to look more like it's potentially a rug pull, something internally. Oh, it doesn't kind of make sense, right? We'll talk about it here in a second. As we look through Mantra, so it is definitely a heavily controlled, heavily manipulated VC coin. When we look at the partners and people who have like invested in this one, typically, again, we do look at VC coins. We look at specifically which VCs are investing in what, and that kind of is giving us some insight. In this case, a lot of the Mantra investors, they're not necessarily the VCs we tend to see a lot. Like realistically, I haven't heard of really any of these guys. So for me, that's kind of iffy right off the bat. Looking at the website looks, it's fully done. It's fully legit. And again, the confusing part, again, it's not something that just popped off. It's been around for years and years. But just a lot of the things we typically looked at in the past kind of not going to be so important, right? We'd always, do our due diligence, look at different things, look at the website. A lot of times I had a crappy website, we'd be like, oh, this and that. Now with things like AI and how easy it is to put up websites, to put up anything, this is kind of something that's not necessarily that big of a deal, right? In this case, again, it's a project that's been around here for quite a while, and that's what does make it kind of confusing. When we look at their partners list, if we go through the website, there are a lot of big names. Again, we don't know to what extent these partnerships are, right? Sometimes it's just something as simple as them using something from them, like they have Google Cloud listed here. Is it just because they use their infrastructure as a validator? That's probably more than what it is, more so than an actual partnership, right? And this is where it gets kind of confusing, even when you are trying to do research, right? And in this case, Cointelegraph is listed here. So one thing you got to understand, with the majority of those news sites, they are owned by bigger entities, and a lot of times they are just paid reviews essentially. Okay, so you can't take a lot of this stuff for what it is, right? As we look at the About Us, they don't have any names listed, right? You can actually see there's doxed people here. These are the people that are working for them. Who they are, we don't know. But as we go through the About Us, there isn't any actual names. They do have the other set of their major investors and a get in touch email thing, right? But they are actually doxed. One of the main people here is JP Mullen. He's the CEO and co founder of it, so expect this guy to get scrutinized extremely. So far, they haven't posted anything anywhere, right? If you kind of Google him, he is fully doxxed. They know who he is. He has a LinkedIn. They're going to be looking for this dude, right? Will he come up? Will he say anything? We're going to have to wait and see. Right now, currently, that's kind of what we're waiting for. As we do a little bit of sleuthing on like X, we can see that they closed their Telegram. So that's not a good sign, right? Because if it was, it's hard to say, right? It's just really, really hard to say because, again, we'll see. Again, there's not a whole lot to go by as we look through. So people who have been sleuthing already, though, it's not looking good, and it is kind of looking more potentially like it was potentially a rug pull, right? You can see here people sleuthing. They noticed that a wallet labeled as Laser Digital deposited over $41 million worth of OM into OKX just 2 days ago, which is a little bit kind of weird. And then people did dig a little bit more into OKX, and there were more large deposits. They have the addresses listed here, kind of making it seem like potentially it may have been a coordinated thing. It's hard to say if it's early investors, if it's the founders, if they rugged. Was there a hack? Did they somehow get access to some of these funds? It's hard to say, right? But at the end of the day, this is just a stark reminder that anything can happen, regardless of how big they are. Again, this thing was in the 20s, in the top 25 of all cryptos. Okay, any of these proof of stake coins, especially ones that are heavily manipulated, which this is one that was, right? It's just crazy. It is like borderline mind blowing just looking at this chart. And again, what the standout for me and makes it extremely confusing is that the founder is docs. There's a lot of info on them. They've been around for years, and that's what makes it extremely, extremely odd, right? If it's something that's been around for 6 months, maybe even a year, they've been kind of slowly growing the scam, getting invested money, and they decided to dump. That one's a little more easier to comprehend. But the fact that this one's been around for so long, founders docs, team is docs, it was this big. And also the fact that it was so easy for them, even if it was a scam, even if it was something for them to dump, because of the amount of unlocks, the amount of control they had in the supply, they could easily just be dumping this thing on the daily and just have it be a slow rug pull, essentially, right? Like, what was the need to have this extreme of a drop all of a sudden, right? So that's what makes it extremely weird, in my opinion. We're going to have to see if they do some more sleuthing. To me, that's the only thing that kind of leads me to think that it could have been some kind of vulnerability, some kind of hack versus a coordinated rug pull, which it could be. Again, the little bit of sleuthing that's happened so far, that is what it's kind of looking like. But, I mean, again, guys, at the end of the day, be careful with what you're investing in. Make sure you're fully researching, looking at what it is, and especially at times like this where the market is down so bad, you want to really be into those high conviction plays, whether it's something in the top 5 or Bitcoin. I mean, these are the types of events that get people to really go into Bitcoin, which, I mean, the majority of us are, right? I know this channel and me specifically, we do focus heavily on altcoins and such, but what is the goal of all that? It's all towards Bitcoin. All roads lead to Bitcoin, at least for me, right? Everybody has their own things. At the end of the day, that's the only one I believe in long term, right? You guys know I'm big into like Solana and all these other things. Those aren't long-term convictions, right? Whenever I'm talking about those things, it's for this cycle. Everything's for this cycle. The only one I'm investing long-term wise beyond the cycle is just Bitcoin. And this is just another reminder as to why, right? But just wanted to keep you guys updated. Hopefully none of you guys had anything in this thing. Again, this isn't really our thing. RWAs are not really super into, so this is one that was definitely not on my radar. But let me know in the comments, though, guys. What do you guys think? Let me know if any guys held this thing or if you guys have any real information on it. Let me know in the comments, guys. Just wanted to bring some awareness. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.